Well, thanks for your company on News and Views. Time to welcome a guest to the studio, sprint car ace Brooke Tatnell. Brooke, thanks for coming in.
It's great to be here.
Now, you've got a big night tomorrow night at the Parramatta Raceway. Tell us about the Wanderlust World Series Sprint Cars tournament.
I mean, this is the pinnacle of motorsport. Sprint cars are the Formula One of dirt, and it is action-packed from go to woe. You're basically going to have 60 cars competing for a 16-car qualifying field, so it's definitely action-packed, and it's sprint car racing on dirt is like a bucking bronco. You've got to stand up and manhandle a race car.
Now, these competitions started early in November in Perth, and it's the end of November now, and you're already up to round 6, so it's a short turnaround, isn't it, between each event?
It definitely is. What we try to do, the sport is catered to suit a lot of the travelling Americans and now the Australians. There's several of us Australians that are heading to America for 9-month periods and coming back to Australia to contest World Series and the Australian racing season. So it starts when the American season finishes and then continues up until mid-January.
Now, you've won the World Series 5 times, and that's different from the National Championship, which you've run the last 3 years. Tell us about the differences there.
We have a 16-round championship, which is the Wanderlust World Series this year. It travels to just about every state in Australia, and the Australian title is contested over a one-race weekend, which is 3 straight nights, and this year it'll be held at Parramatta City Raceway, where we're racing this weekend.
What do you prefer? What's the best way to decide the national champion?
Up until I won an Australian championship, I tell you, the national champion needed to be the World Series champion. But it's a mixed bag. It's a situation. There's a lot of teams that don't have the budget to race the 16-round championship, and then the same thing. You can be best in the country all year long, come to a one-race weekend. It's similar to Bathurst. You can be the touring car champion, but lose Bathurst, and you're still a touring car champion. So it's a mixed bag.
Now, you've won this series, World Series, 5 times, but each time it hasn't been a walk in the park. There's been lots of competition, hasn't there?
Yeah, it really has. For the continual, World Series has been here for 21 years in the history. My father won it the first 2 years, and then it's sort of been a mixed bag with a couple other competitors. Max Dumsney's been our biggest rival. He's won it 7 times, and you know it's always going to be tough. There's 7 guys that every night and every year are contending for this championship.
Your father George was a name in his own right in the sport of speedway. Does that make it an emotional year this year, given his passing? Yeah, this is hard on our sleeve racing this year. My helmet's dedicated to him. It's a memorial helmet of his helmet from 1972 when he was national champion. And it is very, very tough. And we're here to prove that despite losing him, he's with us all the way. And you know, we're proving why we do this. I mean, it's a tough road, World Series and America, but you know, you do it with love and passion, and it's easy to bounce back every night of the week.
Let's talk a little bit more about your dad, George. Now, he was a flamboyant character. Everyone absolutely loved him. He definitely put bums on seats. Now, his nickname, Gorgeous George. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, it's before I came around, and if you looked at it, people know he looked like me, so he definitely wasn't gorgeous. So it came from the 60s with the era of the wrestlers and Gorgeous George the wrestler. My dad was very flamboyant. He lived by the theory, 50% cheer me, 50% boo me. I've got 100%, so I'm a winner on all counts. He was very the leader in promotion and the corporate situations with Australia. He brought Winfield into Australian Speedway, Midford T-shirts. He was, as I say, he was flamboyant. If he was here right now, he'd be trying to push you guys out of the way, and he'd be trying to have centre stage to be his job.
So he really raised the bar with the professionalism of the sport.
Yeah, he led the professional in the sport, and not only in Speedway. I mean, he was way above the level of any motorsports anywhere in the world. So that's probably why the name Tatnell is so synonymous with Speedway and motorsport. Given
George and his role in your life, are you going to be anything but a Speedway driver?
My mum always says that the day she had a boy, she knew she was in the sport for another 20 years. I think she cringed at my dad for that one. But, you know, I never wanted to be anything else. I always wanted to just be a race car driver. You know, my dad was my hero, my mentor, and my best friend. So, you know, I get to live a dream every day of the week. My wife tells me some days I've got to grow up. I see on the screen there's my little girl, and she's as cheeky as her granddad was. But, you know, I never wanted to be anything else. Sprint car racing is what I wanted to be, but to be it, it's a tough grind on a family. I have a beautiful wife that is very understanding, that has come from a Speedway background, and pretty much that's what it takes, is someone with a background to understand how much dedication it takes to be in this sport.
You definitely would have to be understanding. Something you're 9 months of the year in America, you're in Australia. When you're here, you're travelling to say all the time. How does she go with the demands of the sport?
She deals with it very well. My wife was a triathlete and still will be once we get back into shape. She's the drum master of getting me back in shape. I'm still carrying the maternity weight, which I'm enjoying. That's plenty of ice cream. But no, she understands it. It's very hard, the demands, because of what her training was. She was ranked 50th in the world in triathlons, and it's tough for her to have to drive up and down the highway. I mean, in America we do 45,000 miles in 9 months driving up and down the highway. We come back to Australia, we have a home base living with my mother, and I mean, that's also a tough grind on any family when you've got 1 million people. And when you get back to Australia, you've got people that want to make up for being away for 9 months, and they want to see you every day of the week for 3 weeks, or for 3 months. So it does get very, very tough. But you know, very fortunate to be in a very understanding wife.